everything you think you know about brain health and the way your brain cells deteriorate with age might not be right. I'm Dr. Rodney White with Papillion Chiropractic, and today I'm going to give you 8 tips on how to improve your brain health, but also let you know why the old way of thinking about how we're born with brain cells and then they just deteriorate over age is actually being proven to be completely false. So over the last couple decades, researchers have shown that our brain actually has something called neuroplasticity. This means that our brain is constantly making new cells. So that's great for learning and things like that. It explains why we can teach an old dog new tricks. It's how our brain continues to learn and develop, but it also means that because it's laying down these new cells, it can heal itself if you're treating it the right way. But it also shows us that when our brain deteriorates with age, it's probably not so much from the cells wearing out because they're constantly replacing, but it's actually more the blood vessels within our brain that are deteriorating. And we'll get to how you can improve blood flow throughout these tips. But here's the ways you can improve brain health now, regardless of where you're at. And why is it so important? Because the rates of dementia and Alzheimer's are going through the roof. And if you don't want to be that stat, especially if it seems to be something that your genetics show you're predisposed to, because remember, genetics don't mean you'll definitely have it, but they mean if you don't have a healthy lifestyle, then your environment and your lifestyle will turn those genes on and you will follow in the footsteps of your parents and grandparents. So especially if you've got that history in your family, you need to work on getting your brain healthy now. So number one thing you can do is exercise. We have to exercise. Not only does that help our brain, especially if we're doing exercises that involve balance or different movements, especially any kind of cross crawl pattern, or even core exercises where we're on all fours and we do an opposite arm and leg and we have to balance like that. All of those are great for sparking the brain to work, but it also is very vital for blood flow. In fact, maybe one of the most important things you can do for blood flow, which is going to protect those brain blood vessels. We'll get to that a little later. Number 2, if you're already smoking or if you are a smoker, you need to try and quit if you want your brain to be healthy. There's a lot of studies starting to show that 40, 50, 80, even 100% increases or double the increase in dementia likelihood if you smoke a certain amount of cigarettes a day. Those numbers are astronomical, and other than the risk on everything else in your body, if you could drop one bad habit and you're a smoker, then that's going to be it. Number 3 is building a way to have your brain be able to think more positive, or in the same breath, deal with stress better. When we're stressed, our body is stuck in what's called a sympathetic storm or a fight-flight reaction. The same reaction we're designed to have in our DNA if we're under attack in a life-threatening situation, but we're not meant to have that chronically all the time. It's very hard on the body because of all those stress hormones flowing around, and it's very hard and toxic on the brain. So meditating, writing in a gratitude journal, anything that can help you deal mentally with stress and become more of a positive thinker is going to improve your brain health. Good relationships. We're not designed to be isolated creatures. At the time of filming this, we're in social isolation thanks to the COVID-19 issue. So we have to do everything we can to try and keep those relationships there. As soon as this quarantine or isolation is released, we've got to get back to hugging, handshaking. Obviously not random strangers, that might be a little creepy, but the people you're close to. And we've got to talk to them. And what we don't always think about, diversify the type of people you hang around with. It doesn't mean you have to agree with all of their opinions and decisions, but anyone that can challenge your way of thinking with different ideas is very good for your brain, because new ideas are going to help that thing work. As this segues into our next one, brain training, which is trying new activities. All of that causes new nerve cells and wiring to lay down in your brain. But having those new ideas, being challenged to critically think and look at things another way, and researching something you're interested in. Like if you're interested in health, watching videos like this, reading blogs, reading science articles, everything you can with that is going to help. Number 6 is make sure you're getting good quality sleep. They've shown very definitely that if you're sleep deprived, your brain function is deteriorating dramatically. So are a lot of other bodily functions. And then maybe one of the most important behind exercise is diet. You have to have a diet that's weighted more towards healthy fats. So get rid of the bad inflammatory foods like sugars and the bad fats and the rancid oils, and have high quality fats. We have to cut down on inflammation in the body because that inflammation really affects the brain. And on this diet, we need to make sure we're also, on the diet piece, healing our gut, because where we have leaky gut and all that damage, so much of what happens to the gut happens to the brain. So we've got to cut down the inflammation and feed our brain and nerves good quality foods like the good fats. Get adjusted by your chiropractor. That's number 8. Science is showing, a huge growing body of evidence is showing that when you get adjusted by a chiropractor, it directly affects a part of the brain called the prefrontal cortex. And so not only does that improve the way your brain communicates with your body and has a better understanding of what's going on within and around your body, but the prefrontal cortex is also the area that dampens that fight-flight response that so many of us are stuck in. And we're stuck in that fight-flight response because of poor diets, stressful lives, not enough exercise, all of these things that we've been talking about. And if we can dampen that through an adjustment, well, why not? That's fantastic. So that's the 8 things that you want to do. Now, the bonus tip, we talked about blood flow before. How can you improve blood flow, which will protect your blood vessels, which therefore will slow down any deterioration in your brain? Because as the researchers have showed that we talked about at the start, it's not that your cells are deteriorating so quickly as it is the blood vessels in your brain. So anything that improves blood flow is going to be exercise, beets, or I use a beet powder in my smoothies, but beets are huge for it. Rosemary, pepper are both very good at improving blood flow. There's I guess you call it a herb called ginkgo biloba. That's also very good. And that's just 5 things. You can look up anything that improves blood flow, and that's not meaning medication for blood pressure. That's meaning things that actually help your body improve the blood flow and your whole cardiovascular health. So now not only are you improving your brain, cardiovascular health is the #1 killer in the Western world by far. If you see the numbers who have died from heart attacks and strokes just this year compared to even something like coronavirus, it dwarfs it. That's what we should be having a war on here, not everything else we're dealing with. So if you do those things and you start doing them all now and you keep doing them consistently over the next months, years plural, your brain health is going to be so much better, and you dramatically cut down on the odds of being another statistic of Alzheimer's or dementia or Parkinson's or any of those neurodegenerative brain disorders. So if you have any questions, just leave us a message below. If you listen to this on the podcast, shoot us an email. We'd love to answer that for you and help you along this journey. If you've made it this far, thank you so much for your attention, and we'll see you all next time.